Godzilla vs Megalon is the start of my second half and somehow manages to feel cluttered without much actually happening. This is primarily due to the human story taking a major backseat to the monsters, which would be fine except for the fact that I like these characters and would like to have seen them do something more than just make Jet Jaguar. It doesn't help that the main villains of the movie are completely separated from the main characters. There's no personal interaction between them, which really makes the movie feel a bit disconnected when it comes to its conflict. I will say, however, that I do love the Seatopian style. They really know what they're doing in that department, and you cannot fault them there. This is going to come as a shock because it is, the main draw of these films, but the final fight is just too long. The final fight is split into three main parts: Jet Jaguar vs Megalon, Jet Jaguar vs Megalon and Gigan, and Jet Jaguar and Godzilla vs Megalon and Gigan. Each segment lasts a good while and would be entertaining on their own, but strung up in a sequence, it eventually just gets dull. Even the Wikipedia page references the length of this fight. It's nice to see that this fight is a struggle, but I'd like to see a struggle with a bit of breathing room personally. Gigan showing up felt a bit arbitrary, like they just needed another monster there, so they picked out the newest costume from the closet. All of that is fine, except for the fact that Megalon's thing is having drill hands, whilst Gigan's is having knife hands. Which means that it all just feels a bit too samey for the fights to be especially engaging. I know at this point they're limited in terms of monsters that aren't Godzilla's allies, but I would like just a bit more distinction between Godzilla's foes. It is painfully obvious that they are just pretty much ripped from the same cloth. It especially doesn't help that I could not care less about Gigan as a character or Gigan's design, so his appearance just didn't get me going, and I think the way that the creators hoped that it would. It's also true that we are 13 movies into a 15-movie era, and they are beginning to get a bit stale, especially watching them in such quick succession like this. There is little to no variance in the style of fighting, aside from a few memorable moments here and there. Cough-in, flying kick. At the end of the day, these movies, especially these later movies, are all just men in suits thrashing about in a field. Oh well, I didn't dig this one as much as I'd hoped, especially after an opening that showed promise. I really hope that we end this series on a high with the next couple of films. Mechagodzilla is coming, baby. What was that? So yeah, just two more Showa-era Godzilla films remain for me, starting with Godzilla vs Mechagodzilla.